Hello! One chapter today, and that would be The Woes of Mrs. Weasley. And it's a hard chapter to swallow on actually several levels. To start, of course, let's just have a brief overlook of the action that we have. Lucius Malfoy continues to prove that as much as we want to trust the government, there are always going to be people who take advantage of what they have to get what they want. We have the prefect badge debacle. We have the meeting of the Old Order. And then we have, of course, the Bogart. And this becomes a moment where we want to celebrate. We want to be happy. Because Harry got off, and Ron and Hermione got the prefect badges, and somehow we never quite get there. Because it's always a mixed bag of what's actually going on. Starting, of course, with Harry exiting from the trial. Wants to find the toilet thing funny, and Arthur tells him pretty straightforward that, yeah, it might seem pretty harmless, but behind that harmless idea is actually a lot of hate. And then we really get hit with that when we have Lucius there, who frankly is willing to stick his nose into Harry and Arthur's business. But the moment Harry sort of returns that, Lucius is all like, what's my private business got to do with you? And I just want to be like, And again, Fudge being willing to, even in that moment, even in the moment where he's been proven wrong, he's not willing to change. Because he's got people with gold who are willing to pay for him to look the other way. And in that moment, we actually see that even the most powerful people are brought low. Lucius and his inability to be empathetic in any way, and Fudge and his inability to put the morals of the society ahead of his own position. And Arthur is brought low because of his position in the government, and Harry's brought low because he is a student and the enemy. And suddenly everybody seems very tiny. And then oddly enough, we move in to this prefect badge thing. Which I'll actually admit that I was tearing up when Harry was trying to figure all of this out. Because it was a shock, and the fact that everybody was so quick one way and then so quick the other, even as his friends, it became that moment of, well, what is expected of me? Because when Hermione comes in and Harry happens to be holding it, she right away says, of course it was going to be you, I knew it was going to be you. And then very quickly never mentions that again when she's corrected. And the thing is, that's not something you can quickly back out of. And, I mean, they all have a party, and no one stops to think that a couple people might have said some words that are going to affect people. But I think, again, this shows Harry actually extremely maturing. Not even through to the end of the chapter where he admits that he felt stupid, that was what he was upset about, when he gets a glimpse of what the adults are actually dealing with. We see it when he actually sits down and starts to think his way through this. This isn't something that we've gotten to personally see. It is a moment where Harry says, okay, I'm being unreasonable. And he sits down and he starts to think through that. The thing is, anger is actually a secondary emotion. If you're angry, it is because something else has happened. You're hurt. You're sad. You're lonely. Anger only comes after these things. So the fact is, Harry's sitting down going, okay, why am I upset? And he's looking at both sides of the thing. Well, I've done so much more than them. Yeah, in a whole lot of dangerous situations. Okay, maybe that doesn't make me... But I've been so much more active. Yeah, maybe the active side of things isn't what is going to make you a prefect. And Ron has other qualities that you necessarily don't. And he has to recognize that, because it is the trio that is going to get through all of this. It might be Harry that has to fight the final battle, but to get to that point, he has always needed Ron and Hermione. So yes, the two of them have qualities that he doesn't have. So the fact that we're actually seeing him walk through this, and even just recognize that he is upset, and admit that he is upset, that is a big leap. We are seeing Harry grow up in this moment. And that's before he even realizes and remembers sort of what he honestly has to face going forward. He walks down into that party and he at least makes an attempt to stay. He moves around pretty quickly and he ends up leaving pretty quickly, but he is not the first one to leave. He doesn't throw a hissy fit and say, I'm out. Doesn't insult Ron's broom. He lets Hermione use Hedwig. He honestly tries to just draw himself in and congratulate Ron for what he's achieved. And he does with Hermione too. He recognizes he's upset and jealous in that moment and says, but it is not their fault. He overcomes his own emotions in that moment, and that is key because he's not going to be able to at points in the future. But we have hope now that he can. He's sitting down and he's talking this out with himself. Because he knows he can't stay jealous and angry. It's going to twist him. He's seen it with Barty Crouch Jr. He's seen it with Fudge and Lucius and Draco Malfoy. He's seen what wanting so much more can do to you. And so he has to look at it logically and say, why should I want everything? I can let some of this go. And it is only very directly when he realizes what he doesn't want to let go that he's able to let something petty like Prefect go. He has the moment where he sees the picture of Moody, and Moody is pointing out all of these people and telling him exactly how they went. And I don't think he quite realizes that Gideon and Fabian are Molly's brothers yet. But he sees them and acknowledges them as having died as heroes, and he sees how much younger Sirius looked, and he sees his parents, and he sees the long bottoms, and he looks at that moment and says, okay, something feels weird here. He calls it disturbing to him. Something that Moody appreciates, but he finds disturbing. But he's actually starting again to make that step away from the petty things. And he was looking at this picture going, what is it about this that is drawing me and repulsing me, even more so than the badge? And then he ends up meeting Molly's Bogart. And I think for him that Bogart is for him what that picture is for Moody. It is the recognition of everything that he could lose. And everything that these other people could lose and have lost and are scared to lose. And suddenly, that is the more important loss. Why be upset about a prefect badge when my two best friends are still alive? Why be nervous about Molly being angry about Fred and George's joke shop when Fred and George and Molly are still alive? It is the loss of the people, not the little things, the little arguments, little discussions. That's not what's important. It is the people. And the thing is, his concern about the joke shop and Molly being upset with him, that disappears pretty quickly. One, because he is the family, the non-family member that shows up with her family in that moment. And Percy's still there, and Percy has done more to anger Molly and Arthur than Harry has. And the loss of him is still going to be a fear of Molly's. So we actually have Harry growing up and addressing some of his emotions as he's going through this chapter. And we have the acknowledgement that these adults have a reason why they're arguing about whether or not he's still a child. Because Molly's having nightmares about losing her family. Sirius can't even say anything because he saw Harry's dead body, and between Harry and his father, who Sirius did see dead, the emotions that have got to be running through Sirius's head are immense. And he can't handle the jealousy the same way that Harry's been able to just sit down and work through it. Sirius has become surly and aggressive and shut himself off. Which is the exact opposite of what Harry is doing. Harry's going, okay, I'm upset. Why? Okay, I'm gonna deal with it because it's not their fault. Those decisions are not theirs. And it could do them some good. And then Lupin stepping in. Molly saying that she's being silly about this. Moody just standing there because he has a photo of all the other people who have died. They're looking at it, arguing that we were outnumbered. They were picking us off one by one. We stand a chance now. Lupin full out addresses, if you are killed, do you honestly think we're just gonna leave Ron and Ginny to starve? Percy will come back. And he does. He does in that moment, in the end. It's this moment for Harry where he figures out, okay, there are small fish and there are big fish. And it's not bad for Harry to get upset about the small fish. It is bad if that is the only thing he lingers on and he lets that twist him. And we're seeing that he's addressing that and saying, no, I'm upset, yes, but I'm just a kid. And I can get over being upset about this because this is not truly important. It hurts right now. But my friends are still alive. And that is enough. Harry's learning to pick his battles. And he's doing it in a pretty positive way for the fact that he's been suffering a lot lately. He's growing up. And maybe he's growing up too quickly, and maybe he's growing up facing some of the worst things in the world. But he's learning. And that's all we can ask of him. This chapter got to me because we really do get upset over these petty things, and a lot of times I find we do associate to some of these people and their problems, and you say, no, I'd be upset too. It connects to you. And then you have the realization the same time Harry does of, okay, maybe this isn't what I need to get upset about. Let the petty go and hold on to what's truly important. And it will get you a lot of places. So I'm going to keep reading, and I hope you do too. See you next time.